Aloha, everyone. This is Lynn Erdman, and today I'm going to be presenting to you examples and the functionality of advanced CSS elements, one of which that I hope to use in the web page that I'll be constructing as part of my final project. Now, I have a picture of myself and my husband here. This is actually a ploy to cover up my desktop so you don't see how messy it is, but it's always nice to be able to put a face to a name, as we go through this coursework. So yes, by the way, that's me on the left. So, heading on, in the past, I have had exposure to HTML coding, but I've never been as fully immersed in it as I have been with this course, along with being able to learn the CSS coding. And quite frankly, I'm hooked. I love it. It's a way that I can really be able to practice my creativity within a contemporary setting. And so this type of design activity is something that I can see myself also becoming more and more involved in as I pursue my new career as what I call a contemporary educator. But before we address the how of the project, I think it's important that we identify the what, or the purpose of the web page. So the ultimate lesson that I will be presenting is actually going to be a lesson on how to take a box cake mix and creating it in such a way that the end result will taste and appear as though it were made from scratch or that it came from a fine bakery. There are certain techniques you can use to do that. So now, let's just take a look at some of the fun advanced CSS features that I think I might use to be able to deliver such an intriguing and tasty topic. I consider myself to be what I call an emotionally driven designer. And what I mean by this is that I like to stimulate my audience emotionally as well as mentally. And to accomplish this, I think I envision my website to be clean, yet colorful and inviting, similar in appearance to the website for the Food Network. Because see, it's vibrant, it's active, it's alive, but yet it's warm, it's cozy, it's comfortable. And I like this type of setup. So I think maybe, down the road I may emulate my website to have some of these features. Now, one of the CSS features that I also like and think I'll incorporate is that of the gradients, usually used in a background setting. One advanced, again, dependent on the colors you use and the design, I believe this element adds additional dimension to the web page while also serving to generate an emotional response. But again, that depends on your objective and the colors and directions chosen. Like for instance here, we have really vibrant, energetic and attractive, alluring type of artwork. Whereas like on this website, it's all subtle, it's all subdued, and it adds dimension. It's not like a flat piece. And of course, it brings your attention to their message in the center. So I like those elements. A second feature is what is called multiple backgrounds. And this is an excellent example. This is a Keola magazine that's here on the Big Island. And what they've done is you can see a background photo here that possibly is one photo, maybe two, that's been put together. But then they have this hibiscus flower over it. So this is an example of how you can take photos and overlay them on each other within the program. In the olden days, when I was working with print, to do something like this, we would have to go back and forth between our image programs, such as Photoshop, and we'd have to create the multiple layers, and we would come up with a photo, and then we'd bring it over into the print design, and if it worked, great, but not, we had to go back to it. It was like back and forth and back and forth. Through CSS, you can avoid this. You can create and position all of your photos directly onto the medium, which I think is really great. So that is something, especially when I'm looking to maybe incorporate, definitely photos, maybe video, don't know. This is something maybe I can integrate into the web page to make it just a little bit more intriguing and attractive. All right, now, so for the third and final feature for today's demonstration, we're going to address the element of CSS columns. This is a technique that I probably think I need to learn or want to learn because I anticipate producing some online newsletters for an organization with whom I'm a volunteer. And also, I think in order to give cooking instructions, this type of formatting may also be necessary. So it's something I really want to accomplish. And I tried to find an example of this on the website, but it's really, really difficult. In fact, I even went to some of the more traditional newspapers like New York Times and that, thinking that they would give me a nice example of a 3-column CSS column web page. Well, no luck. And I found this one website and I went, oh, here we go. This is it. And then I started looking at it. And I went, nope. A little voice is telling me I don't think so. Now remember, I'm playing student here. And I think what I'm looking at here is a demonstration of tables instead of columns. And I think the difference, and again, this is going to be a learning lesson for me as I get into the project. If I'm correct, I think columns, you really don't have the control of the flow of text. The text is going to flow from column A to B to C, depending on the size it has to work with. It's very similar to when you use columns in a Microsoft Word document. I think what we're looking at here is not only a really cool website, but where they have used tables or something. Or if I'm not right with that, I'm going to find out, because I don't think this is columns. So basically, I'm showing you an example of what this is not. Yeah. Anyway, my journey continues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate to you how we go about constructing a simple CSS columns. And what I have here, I'm in Thimble, and we're on my index page with the HTML coding, and it's very simple. Okay, I have a nice title there. This is how we fake the cake. And I've got it colored, and then I have some generic copy in here. And what I've done is I've coded it with a div tag. And so now I want to go ahead and prepare it for CSS coding. And what I did was I put a class in here. Now, again, student alert. I'm still trying to remember the difference between what is a class and what is an ID. Why are they different, or are they different, or how they should be used? I hope I'm correct in using class. If not, I'll learn as I go down the road. But this is what I've done. So I've called it columns, okay? And so I go over to my CSS, and I'm going to set this up and code right there. So I've got a dot for columns, and so I'm going to decide, first of all, how many columns do I want? In my search, I saw a lot of web pages that had like 2 columns, and maybe I'm a traditionalist or something, or I've done too many newsletters or whatever. I just don't like 2-column informative text. I'm not comfortable. So of course I chose 3, and here is the coding for 3. It's column count 3. And you can see it looks really nice. Well, I kind of wanted to jazz it up a little bit. So what I did was I made sure that each of the columns had a gap of at least 25 pixels. Okay, boom, there we go. And also I wanted a ruler between them, because I think it kind of helps the eyes flow. But again, I don't want it to be that heavy, or that black anyway. So I went to make it the same color as the title, but also I only want the width to be 1 pic. Do you see how that's nice? It helps support the text. It helps the eye to flow, but it doesn't distract from the text. And then finally, I did a little padding, bring it off the margin a little bit. And so already I've got some clean copy. Now, will I use this in a recipe setting? Hey, that remains to be seen. I definitely know that for future projects, I'm going to be using this for newsletters, because I just think it looks really clean and crisp and attractive. So thus we have the beginning steps of my final project. Hey, thank you all for taking the time to view this. And I'm eager. I can't wait to see what projects develop out of this amazingly creative class. So again, thank you, and aloha to you all.